the rotations to look. Where does Matisse Thybulle fit into all of this? All of that and more on the latest round mound of Talk Around. What is going on, guys? Welcome to the round mound of Talk Around. Guys, if you're watching us live, smash that subscribe button, hit the like button. And if you're watching us live, always comment. Let us know your thoughts on the Sixers' upcoming season and rotations. Breaking it down, as always, we've got my man Sean at Sean_Bernard1. What's up, Sean?
Yeah, took a week off last week. Good to be back at it. You know, Sixers season starting to creep up on us. We're hitting the stride of like sports all returning, kind of getting through the dead period. So things are looking up right now.
Love it. Also joining us, as always, he is Mitch Kofsky. Make sure you check out his channel and Hardcore Sports. What's going on, Mitch?
Not much, man. I'm just ready to go. I'm waiting. I'm ready to talk about these lineups. I mean, it's pretty self-explanatory where we're going to have the starting five, but the bench is what I'm curious about.
Yeah, I was running down my minute projections for this team, and there's a couple guys that really kind of are getting the short end of the stick, and I'm kind of interested to hear what your thoughts are. Right now we're going to break down our minute projections for each player. What we think. Obviously, there's probably a shoe to drop still with this roster, but we're going to just way too early roster projections. Let's jump right in. Starting off with the one, Sean, who do you have starting there?
Yeah, I think this one's a pretty easy one, as I think most of the starting lineup will be. But James Harden right at the one. He's been awesome just since he's become the full-time playmaker for this team, taking that responsibility off Maxey. Looking at his minutes, he played 37.7 minutes per game last year. I think that's a little higher than I'd like to see him this year. For all that's made about Harden's physical demeanor and size and everything, he plays a lot of basketball, and there's a lot of wear and tear on the body. So I would like to take that down a little bit of a notch. I'm going to punch in like the 34 minutes per game range, which not that that's a major difference, but I would like to make sure he's fresh for the playoffs.
34 minutes per game for Sean. Go ahead, Mitch. What do you think?
Yeah, I got James Harden at the one also. So for me, James Harden's looking in shape right now. He's working out. He lost weight. He got the trainer from Houston. So for me, I don't want him to get like 35 or 36 minutes. So I'm going to go with 34 as well, because we need that playmaker throughout the whole game. Because without that playmaker, look what Joel Embiid had to deal with for his entire career. So James Harden being that 34 minutes per game will come up huge.
Love it, man. We've got Jason in the house. What's going on, Jason? Thanks for joining. Normal guy says hello, Mitch. He's watching the Hall of Fame game. I should turn that on, actually. I'm actually going to do that right now.
I'll turn that on right after this.
I'm going to have that on the background. All right. For me, obviously, James Harden. You nailed it, Sean. Almost 38 minutes per game last year. I see that dipping a tad in 2023. You look at the Sixers adding, some two-way bench guys that we'll be talking about a lot in the very near future. Harden and Embiid had a 15.9 net rating when sharing the court last year, which is absolutely elite, and I expect the same results or even better. I'm penciling in James Harden, of course. No surprise there. I'm going to have to work on these graphics, man. It's a work in progress. But yeah, I see James Harden probably in that 34 sounds really good. Let's just roll with across the board 34. What about you, Sean? Who's your starting two?
Yeah, and this is Tyrese Maxey, a guy that I'm just as excited to see the strides that he can take forward in year three. I mean, we saw a massive leap in from year one to year two. I don't know if he can quite replicate that going into year three, but I still think that there's a ton to expect from him. So as far as his minutes, looking at, he played 35 game last year. I think that's pretty spot on. I'll even bump it up to 36 minutes a game this season. And I think he's going to be just as key of a piece as both Maxey and Harden. Harden and Embiid this year. So I'm excited for Tyrese Maxey, and I think he's going to be right in the mix for most minutes on the team.
All right, Maxey, 36 minutes per game. What about you, Mitch?
I got Maxey, but I gotta go 37 minutes because if he's going on the right projection, he will be an all-star coming this year. So I'm gonna want him to be in this game for a long time and just keep on developing him, keep pushing him. And yeah, so I got Maxey at 37.
37 minutes per game. I'm in that like 35 to 37, so I'm right in the middle. Most importantly, I expect Maxey to play a lot more with James Harden on that second unit. Those two had a plus minus of 6.8 and a 12.2 net rating when sharing the court together last year. I want to see more pace with that second unit. I think there's definitely areas where the Sixers can get Maxey and Harden pushing the tempo a little bit more, get Maxey going in the open court. So for me, I guess I'll say 36. That's like right in the middle. That's right in the middle. I'm just going to, chalk it up with Sean right there. So let me add that. There we go. What about you, Sean? Who's your starting three?
Yeah, I'm going to go Tobias Harris here. And I think it's going to be interesting what exactly that they do with this as the starters play out. I think Doc might experiment a little bit, but I think Harris is a spot in the starters for sure. It'll be interesting to see how he rotates. Looking at last year, he's a guy that was kind of the first starter to come out and then played a ton with the second unit. I think he's going to get a lot of second unit reps this year, but I still think that's going to translate to him playing a ton. So looking at his minutes, he played 34.8 minutes per game last season. I think I'm going to go 35 minutes a game for Tobias Harris. I think he plays a lot.
35 minutes. I wish I did this before we went live.
Hey, it's all good. No rush.
This is what happens when you do a live show.
Yeah, been there, done that.
All right, Tobias Harris for Team Sean, 35 minutes. What about you, Mitch?
If it were me, I want him off the team, but that's not going to happen.
Oh!
I want him off the team, but Tobias is going to be that fourth option, the most expensive fourth option in history. So he's got to get a lot of minutes. So I got to go with 30. I'm going with 34.
34 minutes. Bias. I think the biggest thing when it comes to Tobias Harris, I'm in that like 36 minutes range. I think the signs that he showed in last year's playoffs, that, him comforting to the needs of the team, giving up his touches to Tyrese Maxey, I think that was a huge step in his development and for the Sixers going in the right direction. I think he looked much more comfortable in that role. And I also think it allowed him to shine in the catch and shoot and as a defender. So for me, that price tag sucks, but it is what it is. So for me, I'm going to say 36 minutes per game, just a bump up from Sean, just to differentiate from him just a little bit. We have Jason's from Australia. What's going on, Australia? What's going on? Thanks for joining. That is awesome. So for me, Tobias Harris, 36. All right, Sean, what is your starting four?
My starting four I have is PJ Tucker here, and a guy that I think is obviously the product of the offseason. Looking at his stats with the Heat last year, averaged 27.9 minutes per game. A guy that's been extremely durable throughout his career. I kind of expect Doc to play him a ton. I think he's going to be a Doc Rivers player very quickly. I personally would probably play him a little less than I expect him to play. I think he's going to be right around the 30-minute per game mark. I'm going to go 30.
30. All right. What about you, Mitch?
Well, he's getting up there in age. We need him for those crunch time moments. So for me, I got to go least amount of possible. Give me you know what? I'll go with 30. I was going to say 29, but that's like a little mean. So I'll give him an extra minute.
30 minutes per game for Mitch. For me, it's definitely PJ Tucker at the 4. I'm with you, Mitch. I'm a little bit like I'm probably shooting like that 28 to 31 range.
Yeah.
That's kind of where I'm leaning. I'll probably go 30 is a nice number. I'll say 29 just to be different. Just depending on if Embiid's playing or if he's not playing or if we're going to get more Paul Reed. And, we'll see depending on the night. But for me, I'll say 29 minutes per game. There's a guy who impacts winning in so many different facets. The Heat were a plus 5.6 with PJ Tucker on the court. He can defend the 3 through 5. He can defend the best players on the opposition, come crunch time during the playoffs, as we've seen. He did very solid against James Harden, against Philly in the playoffs. Same to Jason Tatum in that Boston series. So I think what I'm most interested in when it comes to PJ Tucker is as a backup center. Like when you look into his stats as a backup 5, his plus minus and net rating are truly, truly fascinating. He's always been a net positive. And we all know that backup 5 position, especially come playoff time, has been an Achilles heel. So I'm going to pencil him as my 4, but I think it really will depend on matchups on a nightly basis what we get with PJ Tucker. So I'm going to say 29 minutes per game for me. All right. Go ahead, Sean. Who's your 5? Who could that be? Go ahead, Sean. Can you hear me?
Yeah, once again, no surprise here, but the big man himself, Joel Embiid. Yeah, I'm back. I've been cutting in and out a little, but I'm good. But looking at Embiid, averaged 33.8 minutes per game last season. I think that's pretty spot on. I'm going to put him at 34 this year. I'm going to go 35. I think he's a guy that can take a step back, and like minutes on the court might not be as draining as they were in years past. So I think he might be able to carry a little bit more of the load.
Love it. 35 minutes per game for Joel Embiid. What about you, Mitch?
I'll have to go with, you know what? I don't want him to play a lot of the minutes because, his injury history, knock on wood. So I got to go 34. Got to go 34 minutes. And then my backup center will be getting a lot of minutes necessary. So 34 for Embiid. I think that's perfectly fine for the future MVP.
4 minutes per game for Embiid. Looking at my projection, I'll go one less, and I'll do a 33. I mean, he played nearly 34 minutes per game last year. I think we're going to see that number go down just a tad. That's just my gut feeling. I think we all know that everything boils down to keeping Embiid fresh for the playoffs. So I think I'm going to go 33 minutes. We just paid a good chunk of money for PJ Tucker to be a backup 5. I think we have a young up-and-coming backup 5 in Paul Reed that's going to get more and more minutes, I think, as the season progresses. I hope you're listening, Doc. So for me, 33 minutes for Joel Embiid. That's where he was at last year, I believe. So that's where I'm going. 33 minutes per game. All right. How should we do this now? Do we want to just pick one from the bench and go from there?
That's fine.
I guess, unless you want to go to the third stringers.
No, let's go our pick a bench player and we'll go from there.
Gotcha.
Go ahead.
So we're gonna go point guard and then
whatever you want to do. There's no order here. Just you decide. Go ahead, Sean.
Let's start with D'Anthony Melton.
Nice.
So, looking at another guy that I've continually said is, I think, kind of the underrated prize of this season. I feel like he hasn't gotten enough buzz for the impact that he's going to make on this team. It kind of has flown under the radar just in the madness of draft day and everything else. But looking at Melton, averaged 22.7 minutes per game last year with the Grizzlies, which was the most minutes per game with his career. The emergence of Zaire Williams kind of took him out of the spot, and which is really the reason the Sixers had a chance at getting him. But he fills a skill set that they need. I think he's going to eclipse that. I'm going to put him in the 26 minute per game range with the Sixers this year.
Whoops. 26 minutes for D'Anthony Melton. What about you, Mitch? Do you want to go with D'Anthony Melton?
Or do you want to go with D'Anthony Melton? 26 minutes. I had it written down right here.
Okay.
Like, I think it's just common sense. We finally have that scorer that we can rely on the bench. Someone who can create his own shot. Someone who can put up when needed to be. And I love that pick for D'Anthony Melton. Like, I love that trade. Like, unbelievable. I still can't believe it.
So you're going with 26 minutes?
Yep.
Right. There she goes. Yeah, let's keep the D'Anthony Melton train rolling here. I listed him at 23 to 26. I'll go 25. I mean, this is a guy who shot 40+% in the catch and shoot last year. He was really, really good with Memphis, and I'm still shocked they let him go. He had the second highest steal percentage in the NBA last year. He had 4.5 deflections per 36. He had a 5.6 net rating last year. The Grizzlies are a +16 with Melton over the last 4 years. And he had a 4.6 net when sharing the court with John Morant. So he's obviously going to be a really strong complementary piece, whether that's on the second unit or with Harden and Joel. So I agree, guys. This is one of my favorite additions of this offseason. I'll go 25 minutes per game. Just a slight decrease. Go ahead, Sean.
Yeah, next up I'll go B-Ball Paul, the prize backup center, the guy that I think we're going to see the biggest bump in minutes compared to everybody we're looking at. Averaged just 7.9 points per game, minutes per game last year. Obviously, he was a guy stuck in the Doc Rivers cycle of not playing. I'm going to put him at 15 minutes per game. I think that'll get a little inflated when the nights that Embiid is out and he plays extra time. I also am hoping to see some time with him playing alongside Joel Embiid and get him some minutes at the 4. I think that could be a nice kind of change of pace throughout the course of the season and something to look into. So I think Paul Reed's going to play a decent amount this year, and I'm excited to see it.
All right. What about you, Mitch?
Apparently, Discord agree with you there. I can hear that. You know what? I got Paul Reed. He's the perfect backup center that we need. I mean, the hustle, the scoring ability, the defense. He's got it all. So for me, I got to go 17 minutes per game.
Ah, nice.
I got to go 17. I love this guy, man. I love this guy. Give me 17.
17 minutes for Paul Reed. My projections was 15 to 18. You look at Andre Drummond last year, 18 minutes per game. You look at Dwight Howard, 17 minutes per game a couple years ago with the Sixers. I think 15 to 18 makes a ton of sense. When it comes to Paul Reed, I think what I'm really most excited about is him growing alongside James Harden in that pick and roll, especially defensively as well against the pick and roll. So for me, I'm going to go – what did you say, Sean? 17?
No, he got 15.
I'll play in the middle. I'll go 7. I'll go 16.
Okay.
Awesome. All right, Sean, go ahead.
Let's go with Shake Milton next, a guy that has kind of fallen out of the good graces with Sixers, with Sixers Twitter, Sixers in general. I think a little bit of everything. I'm interested to see where Shake projects this year. Looking at last year's numbers, average 21.4 minutes per game. I think that goes down this year. I just don't see that type of opportunity for him when looking at obviously the guards that they added, the development of guys. I'm going to pencil him in for a nice 9 minutes per game for Shake Milton is kind of what I got. I still think he'll get his mix. I think a nice Milton and Melton backcourt would be fun at times, but I don't think the future is as bright for Shake Milton as it once was.
What about you, Mitch?
Shake Milton, I need him throughout the whole season. I just need him to be available. So for me, I'm going 8 minutes here. Give me 8 minutes per game here. If he can go back to when he once was, I will bump him up. But now it's like I'm going to need more out of you. So here's 8 minutes to start you off with. You know that's on yours, right?
Ah, Jesus.
Unless you agree with me there.
I do not.
Oh, damn.
I do not. So, as we were doing this, this was the guy that was like the odd man out. Hold on, let me get to some comments real quick. We've got Further AM saying, "What's good, fellas?" Apparently, the Hall of Fame game was canceled or delayed. That's good. I'm going to definitely turn that on as soon as we're done here. You all watch the game? No.
These are my guys.
It's delayed. No backcourt minutes left for Pat Bev. I love it.
Damn.
That'd be nice.
There
And
would
then
be.
AK Eagles. What's going on, AK Eagles podcast? Thanks for joining.
What's good, bro?
Yeah, Shake Milton's the odd man out for me. I don't know where he is on this roster. His 3-point shooting hasn't been consistent enough. I like his defense. I think off ball is his best suit, but like when I look at the roster, like that's the area. Like if we're gonna throw in a guard, throw in Isaiah Joe. You know, that kind of stuff. So for me, I have Shake Milton probably like even further than that.
Wow.
So I'm gonna hey, this is I want to put him back here.
Damn.
I'll give him.
Got Isaiah Joe here.
We'll get there.
Okay.
All right. What about you, Sean? Go ahead.
All right, next up, let's go Daniel House. Another key offseason addition. I probably should have jumped him ahead of Shake Milton, but it is what it is. Looking at his 19.6 minutes per game last year with the Jazz, he played all the way up as many as 30.4 minutes in his time with the Rockets, obviously under Morey and with James Harden there. I don't think he's going to have that much of an impact this year, but I still think he's a strong rotation piece. I'm going to put him at 16 minutes per game, and I think he's going to be a guy that's counted on to do a variety of things in the lineup.
Are you putting him at the 3 here?
Yeah.
16?
Yep.
All right. What about you, Mitch?
I'm stuck between Daniel House and Thibault. I mean, Thibault's falling down the chart for me. I got to go Daniel House. We need more shooting off the bench compared to last year, and Daniel House brings it. Thibault doesn't. So for me, I got to go Daniel House and give me, you know what? We'll go with a solid 15. Give me 15.
Daniel House, 15 minutes at the 3. There we go. Yeah, my starter here at the 2 off the bench, I'm going with Daniel House. I think he's switchable. I think he can defend the 2 and 3 spots, no problem. He shot 40. Wait, no. I got like that 20 to 23 minutes per game range. I think he's going to play a lot. I think he's going to play a lot more than we project. I think it was an underrated signing, like you said, Sean. I think he can impact the game in multiple facets. I've been wanting Daniel House on this roster for so freaking long. Almost 40% from 3 in the catch and shoot. He shot 38% from the corners, and he held opponents to 35% from the field. And he's a positive player on the court. The Jazz outscored opponents 8.4 points per 100 possessions with Daniel House Jr. on the court. And this is kind of my reasoning why Shake's kind of getting the short end of the stick here, because I think Daniel House is going to be kind of filling in because he brings that switchability and he brings that shooting, that consistency, and he's more of a veteran. For me, I'm going to put Daniel House as my starting 2 off the bench.
Yeah.
Okay.
And what did you guys say? 15, 16? Oh, my God. Yeah, I'm going to go 22 minutes per game for me.
I like that.
So that's probably the biggest difference we've had so far in this.
I honestly respect that. I did not see anyone online have him going that long. I've been seeing like 17 and 18, like everywhere.
Yeah, I think he fits exactly what the Sixers need. He's athletic. He can, shoot from the corners, from the catch and shoot. I love me some Daniel House Jr. I'm excited to see what he's got. All right, let's roll on. Yeah, Sean?
All right, my backup power forward, I'm going the minivan, Georges Niang himself. Another guy I expect to have a little bit of a step back in minutes this year. Looking at last year, averaged 22.8 minutes per game. I don't see him touching nearly that. I think he's going to kind of become somewhat of the Furkan Korkmaz role where he's just coming in to shoot 3. And I think that's a good spot for him. But as far as minutes, I'm probably going to put him around the 12 to – I'm going to go 13 minutes a game I'll give him.
13?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I like that. What about you, Mitch?
Georges Niang, if he can actually show up and not like in the playoffs, actually put up points, I'll be happy. So give me, you know what? I'll give him 12. Give me 12 minutes for Niang. We still need that shooting, but it's gotta be consistent for me. Give me Niang 12.
All right. George's Niang. So this is my this is my rotation show, not Doc Rivers' rotation show. So for my 3, I'm gonna go Isaiah Joe here. Yeah. I think the Sixers desperately want to shoot more threes this year. You look at Isaiah Joe; it's kind of been hot and cold. He had a really good summer league there, but he's a multi-purpose shooter. He's streaky, of course, but he shot really well from the corners last year, 38%. I think he's a better spot-up shooter than we give him credit for. He just needs the coach's confidence to give him that opportunity for him to let it fly. He averaged 1.26 points per possession on spot-up opportunities. That was 95th percentile, the best mark on the Sixers last year. Isaiah Joe, I'm buying the Isaiah Joe stock this season. I think he fits what the Sixers want, and I'm going to put him at my backup 3.
Nice.
Wait, and what was my minutes? My minutes were, let's go like 12 minutes. Let's go 12 minutes. All right. Go ahead, Sean.
All right, I'll jump into Isaiah Joe next with me too. I will touch on the Matisse Thybulle stuff next, but that's kind of the guy that's fallen off my radar. So
yeah,
I got Isaiah Joe ahead of him, so I'm throwing him there.
Okay.
I'm gonna rock Isaiah Joe with a nice 8 minutes per game. It'll be interesting to see what kind of opportunity he actually gets, but I totally agree. He's a guy that deserves it. They should at least see what they have in Isaiah Joe, and this is absolutely a key year for him. So it'll be interesting. I'm going Isaiah Joe for 8 minutes.
8 minutes. Where do you want me to put him here? Preference?
Yeah. I'll go either 2 guard or point or 2. Either one's fine. I do think I had him kind of in my mind as a wing. I think he's truly more of a genuine 2 guard. So I think that's key when looking at where to place him.
Totally. What about you, Mitch?
I got Isaiah Joe there. I got him for 7 minutes. I just need him to score buckets. He's 7 better than Korkmaz. I'm giving him way more minutes than Korkmaz. So give me Isaiah Joe here, man. I love Isaiah Joe. What he showed us in the summer league from years past. Just give him the minutes. And I'm trying so hard not to think like Doc Rivers. It's hard. You know how difficult that is?
All right, Isaiah Joe there. All right, I need my 4 is obviously going to be George Niang. That is where I'm going with that one. I'm in that like 12 to 15 minute range for George Niang. What did everyone have for Niang? Let me look at this. 12 minutes for Mitch, 13. Yeah, wow. Okay. Yeah, I said it all last year. I'll say it again. Like, I think less is more when it comes to George Niang. I think the biggest thing when it comes to Niang is his fit with Joel Embiid. Those 2 had an 8.9 net rating when sharing the court together. They're great next to each other. I think part of the problem is you kind of know what you got, especially come playoff time when we're talking about George Niang. And I just like the switchability with the Sixers' new pieces on this roster a little bit more. There's an aura of mystery there, but we also know what we saw from Houston with like Daniel House Jr. and PJ Tucker, and the way that Doc can be a little more creative with the versatility of this roster. So I don't think that's a knock on Niang. I mean, a 40% shooter is always going to be valuable in this league, but I think his minutes take a dip. I'll say 13 minutes per game for George Niang on my end. Go ahead, Sean.
Yeah, we'll jump into Matisse Thybulle here, and I do think he's a guy that's going to find himself on the wrong side of the rotation. I'll toss him 5 minutes per game, and I think it's going to be a very sporadic. I think there's going to be an occasional game where he pumps out like 30 minutes, and there's going to be plenty of games where he really doesn't see the court because he's such a niche and unique player. So I'm going to put that for where it settles, but I do think he's going to be a very game-to-game player in terms of there's nights where he gets an extended run and nights where we don't use him at all.
Oh man, this is before. I don't know if I said it at the beginning of the show or before we went live. Like there was two guys here that were like on the out. It was
Yeah,
Shake
you're
and Matisse. Hold on, before we get to Mitch, let's go to some comments. We have Next Shift joining the house. What's going on? Thanks for joining. Lucas is in the house. What's going on? What is going on? Lucas says, I could see our bench being Melton, House, Reed, and Bassey. I don't know about Bassey. What are your guys' thoughts on Charles Bassey? Yeah, I don't know if that guy's ready.
Yeah, this is something I think the Sixers have continually messed up in terms of the regular season mindset. I absolutely think Bassey should get somewhat of a chance just in the regular season and see what he's truly got. Whether that is the case or not, I don't know. Come playoff time, I absolutely don't think he's ready to play a rotation. He's more raw than I would have hoped for at this point, and I think the fact that we're considering B-Ball Paul significantly more polished than him is fairly concerning. So I don't know. I would like to see him get a chance, but I don't think he's a regular rotation guy.
Yeah, I like his potential. I'm not sure he's there yet.
Yeah.
Especially defensively. And I think we all think he should be at least 2 steps ahead defensively than he is right now, and he's just not there yet. He's just not. At least that's just my gut feeling. Joe says Shake only getting 5 minutes is crazy. This is what we do, man. This is what we do. Jason says if they don't play Thibault rotation minutes early this season, it basically extinguishes any trade value he may have left. Need to try to make him look good with Harden early. That is a fact.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that real quick, guys, because obviously we just started getting into Thibault just now, and I don't know. I just the hesitation from 3. Defense is just playing him like giving him on an island, just not even looking at him, not even looking in his direction as a floor spacer. I see him on the way out. And I think Jason has a really good comment here because that would basically destroy any kind of value he might have come the trade deadline. Anybody have any thoughts on this one?
Yeah, I still think that there's a Matisse and Furkan for another rotation player. I think that's still on the table before the season starts. I think that's an excellent point by Jason about this. It's such a weird situation with Thibault. I personally think it's pretty clear you can't put him on the floor in the playoffs, which to me makes him pretty much expendable, which is a bummer considering what he wants to be and still the flashes that he shows. So there's definitely things you can do to boost and make him look good in situations, and they absolutely should be trying to do that if that is the case. If he still is here come regular season, that's definitely probably the right way to go, is boost his value, make him look good, and then ship him off. But I've lost my faith in my long-term hopes for him being a key piece of the puzzle.
Yeah, and I'm one of the biggest Matisse Thibault fans there is, and it just I don't know. I just don't see it with the current makeup. I think they're bringing in 2-way guys, and I think we kind of saw his absence in the playoffs. It didn't really hinder the team that much as I thought it would.
Yeah.
What about you, Mitch? Any thoughts? Oh, go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead, Mitch. My bad.
No, okay. So it's just amazing to me how far he fell. That's amazing to me. Rookie year, great. Next year, great. Now, are you serious? Just get your shot up. It's crazy. So for me, I got Thibault going 4 minutes.
Wow. 4. Okay.
Give me 4 for Thibault. I mean, if you want more minutes, you got to practice those shots, especially the corner 3.
Yeah.
I'm definitely higher on everyone than where we're at.
And I still gave him higher than Korkmaz.
Are we even going to talk about Korkmaz? I don't even want to.
I mean, I need a backup point.
If Doc runs Korkmaz as backup point.
No, I mean for the third round.
All right. Yeah, I'll go. I'm going to throw in Matisse here for my bench. I'm probably more in that 7 to 10 range. I'll go 8 minutes per game. And I agree, Jason. That is a really good comment and a really good point. And I just don't see it happening, man. I just don't see it happening. Could he get some games here and there where he's playing a lot more minutes? Probably. But as of right now, I 100% would put Joe in there. And I know Tiago, if he's watching this right now, would absolutely murder me. But here we are. So 8 minutes per game for me with Matisse. Sean, do you have anybody else you want to put on your depth chart here?
Yeah, I mean, garbage time minutes still count as minutes, I guess. So I'll toss Furkan up here for a little, but I think I put him in a similar sphere. I'm going to go 4 minutes for Furkan, and I would like for him to just make his pure focus as a spot-up shooter. I do think him being a point guard a little bit last year did kind of throw him off his rhythm. Like, he's a guy who, like Niang has embraced, like, when you get the ball, you're looking to shoot a three. That should be Furkan's mindset this year if he's looking to save his kind of long-term role as an NBA spot-up shooter. So I would like to see that from him. I don't have a ton of hope for what I expect, but I'll give him 4.
All right. What about you, Mitch?
I got Korkmaz for 3. I'm telling you, what he did and I was the biggest Korkmaz fan there was. Like, if you go back to my older videos, I was like, guys, give him a chance. And I just got tired of it. I was like, you know what? There's no hope. So I got him for 3. Spot up shooter. That's all he gets.
Yeah, I can't see any more like Korkmaz facilitating the offense anymore. That can't happen. Hold on, that's not working there. All right, I'll work on it later. I guess I'll throw Korkmaz in here. I'd rather not. I mean, Korkmaz is fine. He makes no money. You know, he can win you a regular season game here and there. That's really what his role is. Yeah, let's go 4. Let's go 4. I don't even know if this math checks out. It probably does not.
Probably not.
So there we are. Sean, let me go to some comments real quick. Lucas says, "Oh, I forgot about George Niang." Andrew says, "Do you think PJ Tucker is too old to carry that many minutes throughout the season?" Any thoughts on that, guys?
I don't think I think it's a fair concern to have. That's kind of his thing. Is just like how durable he is, how healthy he's been, and knock on wood that all stays the case. I also think he's a guy that doesn't like sitting out, similar to like Harden and Embiid, especially Embiid's a guy that like hates being on the bench. So I think Tucker's a little bit cut from that mold. I think 30 is pretty fair for what to ask from him, and I think he's going to be a guy that Tucker is going to love, like playing him a ton. So I'm a little concerned. I think the priority should be like making sure everybody's fresh for the playoffs. So come the end of the regular season, I'm hoping that we can kind of take our foot off the gas and make sure that there's extra time for all these guys. But that's a justifiable concern to have.
Yeah. What about you, Mitch? Any concerns about PJ Tucker and his age?
For me, I'm not concerned at all because you've seen this guy working with Embiid and Harden. Sure, it may catch up from time to time. But once he's on that court and he hits that corner 3, most of the fans are going to forget how old he is and how much he got paid for. Except for like people who cover the Sixers like us. But I'm just saying here, PJ Tucker's not my main concern.
Yeah, I agree. He's been playing basically 30 minutes per game since 2013. So, yeah. Next shift says Bo Cruz, watch out. Jason says I would keep PJ Tucker to 24, save him for the playoffs. I think that's kind of one of the reasons why I'm so high with this Sixers roster is there's so much more switchability. There's so much more versatility, two-way player, so many more two-way players on this roster that you could kind of, depending on the night, depending on the matchups, play a guy less, play a guy more, and see how the game dictates that playing time. Andrew says, I can see him providing an incredible boost in the postseason, but 30 minutes per game could be really risky. Man, they just paid him a lot of money. So he's coming here. He has the contract to play a bulk of those minutes. So I hope that's not the case.
I'll also jump in and say I expect him to play more than 30 in the playoffs. Come postseason, I think he's going to be a guy inching toward the 36 minutes per game and kind of more in that range. look at what he did last year. But I think come playoff times, he's going to be right up there with like the core of these guys for how much minutes played. And he's a guy that's kept himself in incredible shape, and that's a huge credit for him for being able to even do this. So I'm excited for PJ Tucker.
Me too, man. It's gonna be fun. Like I really think some of the pieces the Sixers added this year are underrated, and people don't give them enough credit, especially on social media. Does anybody have any other players they want to throw in to their depth chart?
Are we going to talk about Bassey, or are we just going to say Bassey, or is that like a no across the board?
I don't think Bass is going to play. I think he'll probably be down in Delaware or just on the bench. I'm not going to put him on mine. Anybody else?
Yeah, I think I'll leave him off too. I think he'll probably end up in like the 2 to 3 minutes per game. Just to, I think there'll be like a couple games that he gets a little run, but I don't think he's a rotation guy.
Yeah, I don't think so either. But it's like, could you see him as a two-way player from time to time, like actually getting some minutes, like 2, 3? For me, my friend is like, he's never going to see the core until like 2 or 3 more years, and I'm like, I can agree with you on that, but I can see. Oh yeah, we have Doc, so I'll take that out of my mind. Shoot. He's playing young guys.
He's definitely going to be on the roster. I think he's going to be on the roster. James says PJ is going to be a dog. SLR says, I think Matisse takes some of Tucker's minutes if he's working like Maury said. I hope so. That'd be nice. Dodo says, Harden playing 34 minutes is almost the lowest he's ever played. And I think that's a really good point. I don't think he's ever played less than 35. And I think this is like year one of that evolution of James Harden, right? Do you guys agree? Like I think we're going to see kind of a different James Harden within this Sixers offense. I want to see more of a Chris Paul facilitator, floor general, some shot creation, but mostly just dominant in the pick and roll, getting guys rolling to the basket, finding shooters in the corners, open shooters around the perimeter. What are your guys' thoughts on James Harden playing the less minutes he's ever played?
Yeah, I think it's time. It's like, yeah, there's a point where you got to kind of save guys from themselves in terms of playing too much. James Harden has played a ton of basketball. I believe he was top 5 in minutes again last year, even with like all the injury concerns and how critiqued he is with his body. There's a lot of mileage. So I think like giving him a little extra break, making sure he's ready for the postseason and all sharp and fully healthy, making sure that hamstring holds up completely. That should be the priority. So I'm cool with him taking a little bit of the foot off the gas and playing less minutes.
Me too, man. Yeah, like I'm excited because if we've all seen the those off-season highlights, man, he's working, he's grinding, he's really grinding. I'm excited to see James Harden this year, and I don't know. I think James Harden gets a little too much hate. I thought he was just fine last year. I would like to see more, but he's so much better than you would see. Like you would kind of assume based on what we read and different things like that on social media. Normal Guy says they kicked off. Nice. I'll be turning that on in a second. James, this video is honestly showing how much better the Sixers got this year. No huge names per se, but there's a lot more flexibility. That is what I wanted for this team. I was team, do not trade for Bradley Beal. Just build that second unit, add in two-way players, better shooters, better defenders. And I think Daryl Morey crushed it. Right, Sean?
Yeah, no, I totally agree. Working the margins is the name of the game in the NBA when it comes to those lower price guys, the guys that just make your team better but don't break the bank. And we added a lot of those with Melton, with Daniel House. Obviously, we paid a pretty penny for PJ Tucker, but to the same tune of what he brings with versatility, just the new options that this roster and these lineups have. So I do think that's the name of the game. We've complained about the Sixers bench for several years now. So it's nice to see like these names all coming and looking at them on paper.
Yeah, I think the Sixers have absolutely improved. Are they a contender? That's yet to be seen. We will see that. But I think if I had to like say it right now, I think the Sixers are like a half inch under that contender tier. I think they're right there. Depending on what we get the improvements and the additional pieces. So that basically wraps it up. Does anybody have any final thoughts about our minute projections here?
Yeah, I'm pretty good.
I'm good, but is this what Doc's gonna run?
No. Well, definitely not mine. Definitely not mine. Raiders are up 3-0. 3-0. Is Devontae Adams playing? Does anybody know? I want to know.
I don't know. My friend is there right now.
Oh, nice. Dodo says roster looks good, but main concern is wing length and size for a guard-heavy Eastern Conference. Definitely.
Yep, I agree to that.
But I think maybe that goes to Jason's point above that, maybe getting some kind of value for Matisse. A 3-4 could go a long way for this roster, especially come playoff time.
Yeah.
I think the biggest difference here is my Isaiah Joe take. Maybe my Isaiah Joe victory tour is kind of out there, but I think I'm hopeful that this guy takes that next step in his development. James says it's been shown over recent years that top heavy teams don't succeed. 100%. I mean, you look at the last 2 years, Danny Green goes down. The Sixers have no answer for that. Absolutely no answer for Danny freaking Green. And I'm actually probably one of the highest on Danny Greens you'll find. But, you look at other teams like Miami in the Eastern Conference that just roll in wings after wings and length after length and shooters. And I think the Sixers accomplished that this offseason. SLR says that's where Matisse comes in. I've never seen anyone play Steph better than Matisse, and that might be helpful postseason. I agree. But you also have to – it's a give and take, man. It's give and take. Especially when you're playing that low minutes, like you also have to be able to provide spacing for Embiid down low. That's absolutely vital. So anybody else have any thoughts about the last few comments?
Yeah, I think the Steph point is valid, but those are the kind of what I said about how there's games where he's going to play a ton and games where there aren't. He's such a matchup based player. Is like the Steph game was awesome, and that was probably the best I've ever seen Matisse play, and probably the best Steph's ever been defended. But at the same time, like every little weakness is magnified in the playoffs, and we saw that with Matisse last year. How there's defense is literally not even paying attention to him. So to me, I'm very in the mindset of try to get off Matisse if you can because of that, and if you can get more of a two-way guy, that's the move. So it'll be interesting to see how they play it in terms of trying to make him look good or not, and how things play out. But I don't know. Matisse is an interesting guy.
Yeah. SLR says, well, he has to have developed his game in the offseason. I mean, we've been hoping to see that. So we'll see. We'll see. Yeah. He's like Ben Simmons. Like, I'm not comparing the two, but like
I know
the dude is a consistent 3-point shot from being, I think, a bona fide starter in this league. That's that's it, right? Like he's there. He just needs to get that shot. And when that shot develops, he just needs to be a league average shooter. I just want a league average shooter. I want to see him, even if – go ahead, Sean.
Sorry. What is turned me off him especially is he played 6 more minutes a game last year compared to his rookie year and shot less 3-point attempts per game, which is and you can just see it with the way he plays. Like he has zero confidence taking the shot. And if that changes, that would be awesome. But he's a guy that's played 4 years of college and 3 years in the NBA at this point. The progress should be more notable than we're seeing. And with the Ben Simmons comparison, we talk so much about the spacing after Ben Simmons and how much better it's going to be with Embiid having guys around him. Matisse Thybulle has the same red flags, except he can't rebound, dribble, or pass as well as Ben Simmons. So it's right. There's not as much give with the take there is how I feel about it. And it's tough to make those sacrifices for a guy that there's such negatives that come with him. So I hope he can add a shot in the offseason, but I'm tired of banking on it, I guess.
Yeah, me too. I think the reality is they should have traded him at least over a year ago. But we're not there anymore. So, all right, guys, let's wrap up the show. Sean, lead us off, man. Where can we find you? What do you got going on, man?
Yeah, you guys can follow me on Twitter at Sean_Bernard1. Check out my podcast, Pick Swap Podcast. on the Pickspot Media YouTube channel, so make sure to check that out. Drop a subscribe if you haven't already, and you can check out all my written work on phillysportsnetwork.com and Clutch Points. So make sure to tune into that.
One of the best Sixers follows there is, period, guys. Go check them out. Mitch, you're up, man.
Well, you can find me on YouTube at Mitch Topsy and Twitter Mitch Topsy and YouTube at Hardcore Sports Network. We got big stuff over there, and I'm uploading a video right after this about the trade talks heating up for Jalen Reagor. So that's going to be up right after this.
He's having a good camp, man.
Yeah,
I know. The trade talks are heating up according to Jeff Mosher.
Oh, my God. I would love it. I would love it so
Same
much.
Here.
That might take me to like 11 out of 10 on this Eagles team. Next, you just get rid of Derek Barnett. We're good.
He went offside. He went offside during practice.
Did he really? That makes sense. I'm not surprised whatsoever. James says, awesome stream, y'all. Love these rotations. Yo, Randy, great stream.
Thank you.
All right, guys. Thank you, everyone, for watching. Wherever you're watching it, Pickswap Media, Mitch Klofsky's channel, here at the Painted Lines. Give this video a like if you love the Sixers. We do these every Thursday. We'll try and find some new and creative topics to talk about, since this is pretty much the dead period of basketball season. But thank you, everyone, for watching. Please be sure to subscribe wherever you are watching. Thank you to all of our comments. The comments were terrific tonight. As always, for Sean, for Mitch, for myself, stay awesome, everyone.